You're listening to the ByznisNářez podcast. I'm Daniela, and next to me is Lucy. Together, we uncover entrepreneurs' secrets and bring you their life stories. Our guest today is Erik Varga. Hi, Erik.
Hello.
Hello. I will introduce you to our listeners by saying that you are the owner of the company EatGreen, which produces innovative detergents in the form of laundry strips, which we will show here later. You export them to 15 countries worldwide. And it's not actually the last thing you plan to innovate and produce, but you want to go much further. As you will learn, Erik's life is very refreshing because he likes to try new things, he enjoys life, and his approach to things is very laid back. Erik, let's start with the strips. Where did this actually begin?
There are two theories. We haven't completely figured it out yet. One is that it's in Canada, and the other is that it's actually in China, so we don't know who copied whom, but it's something that probably started about 12 years ago.
Okay. And how does it work? Let's explain to those who have no idea what a laundry strip or strip is. I'll be unpacking the strips here in the meantime so we can prepare. I'll be preparing.
Jan, just pick one, let us see it, because it is hard to describe to someone who does not know it yet.
I'm already
But actually,
sure.
it's some kind of concentrated strip, detergent that is completely soluble. You throw in half of it, so this thing, which weighs approximately 2 grams, is enough for a 5 to 7 kilogram washing machine. And actually, we do it completely the opposite of the big companies. They add a lot of substances, which are like carriers. 60 to 80%, depending on the brand. And we do it the opposite way. Here you have 70% or more of those cleaning agents. The advantage of this is that it is small, light. You can throw it in a bag for the post, actually, without plastic packaging. Hypoallergenic, biodegradable. So it's really great for children, and we have excellent reviews.
I just wanted to say that we don't throw half. We throw whole. Because with 3 children, it makes sense. But even children can manage it.
Exactly. Both guys and students. Actually, it's great for tourists too. We have big customers. They often take it to travel events and praise it a lot. So now I'm creating a kind of box that can be carried and refilled. It will be an aluminum can. We want to make it like that.
And it will be waterproof, of course.
Yes.
Travel kit. This happened to me, so I wanted to ask if you might have anything new.
Yes, there is so much we are preparing. That's already on every institution.
And how did this idea come to you from China or Canada?
I have always followed this since I have had a company with eco products for 9 years. 8, 9, I never know. Time flies. So I was always looking for some new things, you know, innovative ones. Before eco wasn't so much a thing, so there was very little of that. You know, even globally and especially on the Czechoslovak market, almost nobody dealt with it. And so I supported Kickstarter and really such completely innovative things. And often I ended up, since I supported that project on Kickstarter, it succeeded. So I then wrote if we could be a distributor for Czechoslovakia. That's how it went. The trend often changed. In fact, every year there was something different. There were stainless steel straws instead of plastic ones. And packaging that was polystyrene was now made from cane. So there was always something new. And then one day I came across laundry strips, and it was harder for me to believe that this could work, that it just has 1.5, 2 grams and would still clean, while we throw in so much powder and I don't know what else. But we tried it. My wife and I tested it for about half a year, and with 3 kids, so there was laundry every day. And then I decided that it's a hit, and it will be tough, because no one knows about it, and breaking through, as if the children let people know that it will take a lot of time and money, but I saw potential in it, you know, and actually now we're really in big networks, and as we're expanding, we're mostly doing private labels, so it's very successful.
How many of these bands are sold annually, or what is the production volume?
Approximately, like, it is growing quite exponentially now, yes, since last year, so altogether it might be about 6 to 8 million washes that we have already done in Europe.
Let's actually go better, so we can speak specifically.
We're based in a village in Slovakia, Kokava nad Rimaviku, but we actually have production from Kokava nad Rimaviku. And when I have time, I come mainly to Slovakia, not so many days in the Czech Republic, and I know this village, which is simply a village in the mountains.
And what makes it special, besides
Beautiful
the fact
nature.
that Mr. Witt works with us?
We have some, mainly from the past, there were ski resorts, but the nature like, or they have acquaintances there, or grandparents, yes, and such. That often, really often, I encounter that Kokava. Wow.
Hello?
You recognize Kokava, you recognize Kokava.
When doing business in Kukava,
I have my office there, but I actually do business 15 kilometers away in the town of Nuszcze, where we have production and packaging. Doing business, for me, doing business is great. I wouldn't want to. I used to have a lot of local ventures there, a pizzeria, bar, restaurant, and all sorts of things, you know, a children's store and so on. It was difficult because it's a hungry valley and people have money for a week and then nothing
so
again.
you were
or 2 weeks.
opening a
The better
pizzeria
ones who
for
save up.
1 week a month.
That wasn't
I
possible.
understand that.
Right? I'd love to do it like that, but it wasn't possible. So then I said, okay, I'll stay here because I like it. It's my environment. I know everyone, but we need to pass it on or do something like online. So we ideally started with Czechoslovakia, and now the focus is actually on Europe.
Now please reveal to me, but that block has completely collapsed. So the pizzeria, kebab, sandwich shop,
No,
children's clothing.
everything.
How
And
does
in between,
that happen?
when there was COVID, I made disinfectant. In a week, I started a disinfectant company.
Thank you.
And if I always searched, like, okay, people need something like this, then let's not collapse, but let's see what we can do.
It just
So I always
seems
did it
like
like this.
mainly I should be doing business. I enjoy
Yes,
it,
we are
and it doesn't
talking-
really matter where.
So a week, a month, things like that, a few odd jobs here and there to earn a
Like
bit extra. Okay, I'd go there for a month and
So
then
you left
again.
school and started a business.
I was
or
already in
you're
business.
learning to do business.
Actually, during school, yes. And you could say since elementary school because I was always selling something.
Only I would
Yes.
know that.
Yes, just
Only
like that.
I would know
Now you
that.
can't say it. Not again.
It
Bye.
wasn't.
No.
Yes, well, once again, yes, it was a different period, but it was local, you know. We had printers as the only ones, for example. And I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade, so I just printed coloring books because I had free paper, although my mom paid for it, but I didn't think about
Proclaim.
it that much. But then I sold it for 5 crowns. So with colored pencils, I made some pictures, planets. I love space, planets, and so on. So actually, so I started that, you know, then, I don't know, I sold firecrackers, of course, that's kind of, but it worked, so, okay, so why not? So always something.
So your
Always
vision when
was
you
a
were
lot.
a little boy was that you wanted to be what now?
2 astronauts. So we want to be, like, not that we want to be astronauts, but we definitely want to go play in space. We'll see. Time goes quickly, so we'll see what happens
So
in
you
20
still
years.
have it on your to-do
Definitely.
list.
Hi.
Definitely to
Okay.
space.
Running a business like this in what you call a hungry valley in
Hadova
terms
Valley.
of recruiting people, because here everyone usually complains on expert boards about how they can't find people.
Here we have the opposite. I have so many resumes and they come in every day, but people are often not qualified. Also simpler, basically, but any can always be trained, that we have to find among the mass some people who have a higher vision or are responsible. That's the first thing. We don't need someone who will just ruin 500,000 strips for us. That would be a shame. So the responsibility, that must be there. But we have great people. We are continuously hiring. Actually, this year we were at the beginning of last year, we were 3 people, just me and my wife, because she always goes into business with me in all my ventures, and now we're 15 and we're actually going to expand. So it's quite a lot. It grows quite quickly.
Let's go back to the
even
tapes
people.
again, because that's an interesting story. So, okay, you discovered it as an option that isn't on the market. And how did the development continue?
First, I sourced it buying from abroad, meaning Canada and China. And then I said to myself, because I was almost the first brand in Europe to come up with this. And then I noticed the trend from the past, from experience, that almost everything is bought from China or from far away. And then people, customers, already like it and want it locally because there is also that European quality certification, legislation, blah, blah, blah. From China, when you buy, you have no idea what's inside. So it's like I had the idea from the beginning, but first we had to test the market. What took us about a year, and then we discussed it, that it has great potential, and I bought a machine. It was quite a risk, but first a small testing one. We tested it I don't even remember, maybe 9 months, our own mixture, because it was extremely difficult
I
to
wanted
find
to
European
ask
materials.
how exactly, when China and Canada are doing something, where do you get the recipe
She's
for
like that
making
now. They
such a
put something
thin,
in
strange
it.
layer?
You must have some kind of security card where you have the main components. I requested that from both sides. And then we actually added our own. There are still substances that they don't use. But the hardest part was sourcing it from Europe. Made in Europe. All the substances we have are made in Europe. I thought it would be Google, some substance, and made in Europe. But it wasn't like that at all. So we searched for it for a very long time. And thus we had to fight that they have it from substance X. But we can't find it in Europe. So we have to look for an alternative that is made in Europe. I don't want to import some chemical from India and then add it. Then I would lose its purpose, right? This eco. So everything is local. Czech production, German, just as close as possible.
So, do you have any research institute collaboration that helps you create or mix it?
We created this ourselves. I have a chemist in-house. I do it when I don't make something, so we were basically mixing continually, over and over. It seems like the process is mixing, drying, cutting, but that's
Still
everything.
here,
Dried,
though.
basically.
Yes, it is dried on such large rolls, but there are thousands of other details that can ruin the whole batch. It sounds like great, simple. I'll buy the machines. Sure, go ahead. I think the demand will grow, but it is difficult to make. It is extremely difficult to make and fine-tune. We are constantly fine-tuning the processes every day. Every day. And we've really managed to have a lot of those
What is the
passwords.
biggest challenge in making such a beautiful belt?
No, getting the right mix so that it doesn't stick to the roller, so it holds up long term, so it doesn't crack. That is a combination of everything, really, hundreds of tests that we've done.
We were actually talking here when you came in that you have new packaging because we know the thinner ones and because we have known each other for a little while. And you mentioned that there are companies that have large tarpaulins like this and have them branded. Is
Lady.
that then for, I don't know, hotels or who
So
is it
far,
interesting for?
I have only one such customer, but we want to start offering this service possibly next year because I have big plans for new products, like these strip-like ones. Because, you know, everything can be done more or less purely in strips. It just needs research for a few months.
Faithful.
So I'm already working on it. He has those sheets made because they have a kind of mold and they cut it themselves afterward.
That person.
They cut everything with
He
some pressure,
searches for
including
it,
the
like-
print. So we are looking for and already have some ideas how to do this on a large scale. So for it to automatically, because it's some kind of roll, 1.5 meters wide, and it looks just like a carpet, and then it is cut. So we need to add something to press the expert
okay.
board, for example.
He
something,
was not
and then
supposed to find out. That was
Hi.
a surprise. It's already
no.
out there.
Not at all.
Look. What all can be done in the form of a tape?
I think almost everything that is for cleaning, meaning cleaning for the household. We have a dishwasher, we have fabric softener. But let's say for glass, kitchen, right, something. We add substances that are actually the source, but it is difficult. But it's hard to find it in
Possible
Europe.
on the sill at the
You
window?
dissolve it in water,
Okay.
and you
Yeah.
have it like,
So we were
I don't
supposed to
recognize
spray
these brands.
that.
yes, exactly,
We are
exactly,
spraying.
exactly. Yes, for the car, for example. Then later I would like to get into the industry, but we'll see if we find those substances that are like suitable for me to be comfortable
I'm
with them.
curious about one thing. When in my production, you're doing something that's just, you want to do it locally. It's not simple, as you've described. What's in my head is actually an even bigger challenge because I have to find this box somewhere where I can buy it conveniently, which will probably be some chain or something like that. And I think that is not simple because with something that actually the client doesn't know. You mentioned China and Canada, right? The chain doesn't know. How does it happen that you can actually reach these chains? How to convince them?
Finally.
I tried it at the beginning, but it's just a wall and you shouldn't push against it. It greatly depends on those buyers. Sometimes you communicate for 3 months and it looks like, wow, great. And then suddenly they change position all over again. And it can drag on like this for even 2 years. I was thinking of a strategy to find distributors who already have relationships with them and offer them 10, 20, 50 products and go with that. Of course, it has to work out for everyone to be satisfied. Those chains want a lot, but it seems to me to be the best strategy. And with them, I mainly do the marketing because it is hard to compete with those online. Everyone spends a lot of money to earn something. And I thought precisely to find those people, to have a database and so on. And I thought, okay, so some chain already has 200,000 emails in the database, and we can offer them a better price or give them a free bail. That's just about communication, and they spread it. Hey, and this works much better for me, but it's hard
So
to
even
get.
in the case of a product that the user actually doesn't know.
Yes, but it cost a lot at the beginning, especially the first year. Those were articles, PR, basically what it is. People confused it with that. It's called
Yeah,
color
when I
catcher,
feel confident.
which doesn't run,
yes.
but the colors don't mix, or maybe even colorful, so that's what they thought. Often in chains, it was in the wrong position. They put it next to the color catcher.
Another
and thus
option.
people didn't know what it
It's
was.
always, just keep it funny, right? Because at home we know that a laundry strip, color catcher, whitening strip, and now it doesn't just fall into place
That
like
was
that.
awful.
Yes, that's
How
right.
replicable is it? Are there even any trademarks somewhere in the world, or how is it?
And are you, but they are so general that when you change some chemistry, it is basically okay. We are also working on completely different compositions that we want to release next year. We'll see. We're going to test what will actually be the only ones, and we want to patent them. And replicable, it is. Well, and like when someone who doesn't know looks at it, it's simple, right? I buy a machine and just go
It
all out.
might be free
and
again.
I have that behind me, and I wish you luck.
Yeah.
Go for it, okay? I will be glad if you become partners in the future, but it's hard. It's hard even for the big companies. I know that some big ones tried it and just gave up after 6 months because we Slovaks have, or well, Czechoslovaks or maybe Europeans, but almost Czechoslovaks,
That's how it
guitars, that we know a little bit about everything, right? So when there are 3 of us, we go from electricity to lamp lighting to transform the building. We made the whole company ourselves, just 3 or 4 guys. We pulled the cables, which are just, we need 120 kilowatts, so they weren't little cables, but we
Wow.
couldn't even lift them.
What?
But we did everything ourselves, simply according to certain standards and certifications. But what was it like for him in India, for example, in America a month ago? And there, they simply don't know anything. Like figuratively, if they mess up their own light bulbs and the light doesn't work, they have to call someone for that. I look at it and then wait 2 days.
It can't be found.
Where only resellers and the year buy. So somehow it just drags on terribly. And in that, I saw that we can work efficiently. Like it's just great, it's done, and we don't know about the next day.
This is a local feast.
No.
Have you always been this eco-minded?
Maybe yes, internally, probably yes. But I didn't really show it to others, like showing them what I do. For example, I still don't do it, but I do it through products, and I'm not really into Instagram and all those videos and things. I hope I'm not that type. I prefer to just work, and so probably yes, but it came when I actually realized I had cancer 10 years ago, and back then there was some kind of turning point that what are we bringing to the world, showing something, and I used to go on a lot of walks. I meditated a lot then, and I saw the mess everywhere, bags, all sorts of things. It's probably still the same, but we collect regularly every year, but mainly I wanted to find those alternatives, and I started speculating that, okay, so the worst was I actually went to festivals, and after the festivals it's a total dump. And there were those single-use packages. They had everything, and I was actually looking for some sugarcane palm alternatives. I sold those quite well too, but then big companies came along, which could buy dozens of trucks, and because of that, I didn't want to compete with them. So I went to look for something better and newer, and we continue in this way.
And they won the titles?
For now, but it's not over at all. It's a period.
We will get back to that. It just flashed through my mind that actually your wife has gone through quite interesting times.
Well,
with you.
we have actually been together
Business,
for
illness,
more
children.
than half of our lives, for 17 or 18 years, I think. Hey, she has to match everything with some idea, and she analyzes it a bit, but we're not like that anymore. In the past, I was exactly like, okay, I'll do this, right? I decided that now we analyze it a bit with numbers, with global market research and blah, 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 these things, right?
How do you manage your joint business and 3 children? Development is big now.
We are doing
Also
save the state.
accidentally from that
No.
universal cloud.
Hey, like often brings work home too, but then we kind of talk about the score, like and those visas, and we are looking. We are basically a very happy family. We can talk. We have healthy children, so this gives us such peace that we can work calmly. Of course, with illnesses, even a cough is clear. That's completely awesome. But as if, and now, for example, we came here to Prague, just the 2 of us. Yeah, it's enough for us to be together for 2 days, and it's something completely different than with kids. At work, we have a shared office, so there are 6 to 8 of us. We just talk to each other and come up with things. She is very skillful and determined and knows how to do those tasks. I have something similar that we go there, and when I get there, I know. But I don't need to have all those steps. I just do them somehow. They come to me because I know I have a goal. I'm not really a task-oriented person or a spreadsheet person.
It's nice to drive. Look, I am not a task
But
or a chart,
now
but
I have
visions.
people for that. I have people who actually look at the numbers and so on. On one hand, I enjoy it, but on the other, not so deeply. We simply have people who say, Erik, you have achieved more. And then we have to go, and so forth. So I try to delegate as many things as possible that aren't really mine.
Okay, so we mentioned the woman. I felt it necessary to mention, and let's go back. You mentioned that you were in America. What about there?
There we were making another one
Why there?
because we want to expand there as well. And I did it now as a test for one customer, but we might also go to America. There's big potential there. Everyone is bringing it from China or Canada. Prices are crazy there. And now there's probably a new president. So the prices for China will be very high.
Yeah.
So there's great potential. It just needs a lot of capital. So we're dealing with some investors now.
No, so that is the vision for 2025.
About 5 or 6, but there are more of those visions. And I'll just let myself be guided to see what he saw. Like, I won't be upset if he didn't see it, or if we have something very tangled. Like, it's great. I know how to delegate. We know how to fix everything. But if not, oh my, let's move on. Nothing
Are there
happens.
any other shareable visions? What are the others?
New products. Definitely new products, like a big portfolio. More. We want to expand next year because we're getting cramped as the number of people and goods increase. There's an awful lot everywhere. We have pallets and we're just getting cramped, even though we're not yet at full capacity, but we're going to expand. We're moving into 14 large spaces. We're
With you
rearranging them
always.
now. I want to do everything locally, and then we'll see, like, there's some interest, and it's that big companies want me to do production for them, but I don't know. We'll see, right? It's great that the market is so huge. People with cleaning products, like, but everyone cleans, right? Everyone washes. It doesn't matter if I have 1 million in the
Well, it
account
is.
or I have 10 crowns, right? It's just, I have to wash, don't I? Whether in soap or something expensive. And so the market is huge, right? So the potential is really big.
You mentioned that last year there were 3 of you. Now suddenly there are 15 of you, and you are growing and expanding production. Where did you learn to manage people?
And over time, actually, through all these
you.
bars, restaurants, somehow it gradually, that's where I gained that skill, right? Whether it's money and how to work with it. I have 10,000 in my account, but I can buy a machine for 9,000 now, because then with only 1,000, I can't do anything. So I also got burned like this so many times. Of course, also with people, finding those people, how to train them, manage a little. And like the last 2 years, I've been more about delegating because I used to do everything myself, like always. I had to kind of teach those people from scratch. And now I'm trying to find more qualified people so that I don't have to teach every single click in Excel or any program we're using, but I actually hire someone who already knows it. So that's how we operate.
Maybe give some guidance, because especially on boards, there's often the topic. I didn't study management. We're learning on the fly. So if you had to give the very best advice, the most fundamental advice to someone who's exactly learning by doing?
Try and don't give up. And if it falls, then it just is, right? I pedaled it 10, 15 times. I have no idea at all. But it teaches each step that in future business, I will be better because I learned something here, right? It doesn't matter what small thing. Like before, I didn't have a single person and now I have two, even if they are external, but you have to manage them somehow, right? Okay, so next time you might have a company with 10, or at least you know some principles this way somehow. So keep going and don't give up, I would say.
I was intrigued by what you just said because I always come across the feeling that our European culture isn't really prepared for those falls. That we take it too fatally, and
I
when
see
someone
it.
falls, it's just
He's got it.
they wallow in it,
going.
and at the same time feel like they've permanently ruined their name, reputation, and so on. Where did you actually get this? I might be generalizing now and call it an American approach because, well, it does appear more frequently there. Where did it come from? When did it stop bothering you that you just failed?
Well, after the cancer, I don't take it so personally, like, okay, let's move on and live here, and we are all healthy now, so let's keep going. I mean, in the past, I used to read an awful lot. I actually read all those motivational things from the age of 15. Not now at all, because it's kind of a repetitive thing, and okay, I know that time will come, but now I need to work, and I enjoy working, and I don't have time for books or 3 kids, and basically, no, it's not possible.
Maybe it's about needing to stop reading sometimes and start doing
Yes,
it.
definitely. Definitely, I was initially that kind of reader, a lot of information, and then I was desperate because I couldn't use it practically. And I saw that even when I was studying, even though I didn't finish or took it, hey, maybe it's good to say, but I realized that it's a huge waste of time. And I was doing business in between, so I enjoyed that more than
Well,
sitting in school and just not really. A test, and I have no idea what the subject is called, so just pardon. I'm not saying that's the right path, but it was my path, so it basically doesn't bother me. But I read and didn't put it into practice, and I saw this also with management students and such, like just start a business, right, and learn some rule, learn it along the way, right? Often those books are already old. Now is a fast-paced time and everything changes. Now AI can spit out some marketing plan or whatever you want, so you should play around with it, right?
It's not just perhaps about failure, but also about looking for opportunities in other fields that you weren't afraid and went into completely different businesses. So weren't you afraid, for example, that you didn't have experience, knowledge, or
Not
how
like
did you search
that.
for that? How
I
do you
don't
see the
know.
opportunity?
What it means to be scared or like that. Everywhere there's a bit of respect, a little of that stress, whether it will work out or not. But I like it, for example, a healthy stress. I enjoy learning new things, so I wouldn't be interested in working in a restaurant my whole life. I need to do new things, and this interests me because even though it's a cleaning product, in 2 years it could be something completely different. I enjoy the
Tony.
development of something new, finding and creating every day, coming up with ideas and putting them out there. And the guys are already desperate because I'm always coming up with something new.
Just for fun.
And so, well, and I already actually do it. And I often use red drink or some also. So I find, okay, ingredients I already find there, that made in Europe, right? So everything somehow naturally falls out from that data, which often aren't completely real, but you can work with them faster than 5 years ago. Looking for children's clothing in Turkey, for instance, that was about 12 years ago.
So now it will say on those boxes made in Europe by ChatGPT.
So I would-
Not that inspired
Inspiration
it can
by-
be. It can be.
Yeah. Can you relax?
Yes. Firstly, I actually like work stress, but I don't see it as something that tires me. Rather, it gives me energy, but I do relax. I like to meditate, go into nature, but meditate in the sense that it doesn't work for me. I'm basically sitting in some way. I like breathing exercises, something active, where you can just feel it. Wim Hof's, for example, but there are many of those techniques. And I would like to read books, but now there is no time. So I listen. I drive a lot, so I listen to audio podcasts and all these things. And that's my kind of relaxation. Motorcycle, for example, paragliding. I like flying and fast motorcycles.
No, but not
The
from
same thing too.
So that's it there, and it's fun.
How do you apply your energy, speed, and also your experience in raising children?
It motivates me not to be afraid, and we are. And that's what we really teach them, that we went on vacation to Spain about 3 years ago and stayed there for a year. We liked it. So let's try to manage those two. At the time I had my own warehouse and so on, so we tried to manage it with some fulfillment, and in 2 months we fixed everything. What I used to do at home for 15 hours back then, suddenly in Spain, I had everything resolved in 2 hours.
Not yet.
And it was completely like, wow. But regarding the kids, actually, we enrolled them in a Spanish school, nursery and school, where they didn't know a word of Spanish. In 2 months they learned Spanish, and that's how we kind of throw them into real life and show them, okay, so you have a problem, try to find it, not just play on your phone, but try asking or Googling how this is done. And so in this way we slowly teach them by example, probably. Maybe it's like that.
How much
Hopefully
did
it will be
those
like that.
photos affect the children?
11, 7 and 4, a 4-year-old girl.
Yeah. So they haven't complained about the approach
We'll
yet?
see. Yes, one of them is almost a teenager, so we'll see. These are quite interesting times that await us with
Why
them.
did it come back?
Due to production, because of the straps, and to ground it a little or root it here, I would say, but not at all. I don't think we will stay here. Maybe in the long term, we like to travel, and I don't know, a year here, 2 years there, etc. But now I feel that I need to be here, but I don't know for how long
You
before
can
I do
say,
it.
like,
So
it won't
then,
go by
yes,
itself.
exactly. I've been working on it for 3 days. That's why I'm playing here silently, delegating work by giving specific responsibilities so that it can be easily replicated, let's say. Creating a system. Now we are working on some internal system because everything was running on Excel. And when there are 3 of us, it's okay. But when there are 15 people and everyone is tinkering with it, then the spreadsheet doesn't work at all. So now we are working on some internal systems, and then it can sort of be copied into something. You create your own, and it can be copied into any company or into something that I find it doesn't have to be belt manufacturing. It can be something else, but I already have a system and we input data into it.
But it sounds wonderful. We're nearing the finale, and I thought of a special question. Hey, imagine a goldfish, a golden stripe or something, and now you have the chance for 3 wishes. Any kind. Personal, business, anything that will come true for you.
And so to live a happy and healthy life with family. And that was about it. Business-wise, it's good. Do you have perfect relationships with my partners? That's sometimes hard, but so this is like my goal, that it doesn't have to be completely friendly, but fair, direct. Okay, we fix some problem, and this is how it works. And the third is, I don't even know, go into space.
And let's
That's
go to
fine.
sleep.
Yes,
please,
so.
okay? Do you have a vision of how it should look? What will be in space?
I
How will
have
it look?
studied it a lot. Like, I think I have seen all the documentaries and
It's
read many books
humid.
and photos and everything. So we are following Elon Musk. Hopefully he will do something so that in 20 years I can fly there and find out. We will see.
Just like a tourist.
Great. Yes, definitely not a determined expedition, more like training, but just
I
to shoot
feel
up a
like
bit
you
and look at
should
the planet
have
from
the
above.
energy for it earlier.
No,
in the
definitely
summer.
on splitting from it.
So we have to sell more of
Yes.
these tapes here and get them out into the world. Eric, thank you very
Thank you.
much. It was great, refreshing, and we wish you all the best. That in a few years you get to space, and that these tapes are everywhere.
Thank you.
Not just on this
Thank you,
planet.
Van Take.
I'm curious about your new projects. Take
And
care.
thank you.
Thanks. Dear listeners, if Eric's story intrigued you and you want to learn about more such inspiring people, follow our website, podcasts, or social media. Take care and see you or hear from you next time.